Today, we are in Cyprus, an island often presented as a holiday paradise, associated with its Mediterranean beaches, its radiant sunshine, and, it must be said, a particularly charming population. On the internet, the image is very simple. Turquoise sea, hotels, tourism. But on the ground, the reality is richer and, above all, far more diverse. As soon as you arrive in Cyprus, it quickly becomes clear that this is not a uniform country, nor one that is easy to categorize. The experience varies greatly depending on the city, the neighborhood, and even the time of year. There are places where life is very peaceful, almost local in rhythm, and others where everything revolves around international tourism and a constant flow of visitors. One of the first things that stands out is how easy it is to get around the island. Its territory is relatively small, and the distances between the main cities are short, which allows you to completely change your environment in a short time. However, this ease of movement also has a clear impact on tourist areas. The number of cars is very high. In summer, certain areas become extremely busy, and almost everyone ends up renting a car and have full freedom. Renting is simple and quick, with no complicated formalities, which explains why many visitors opt for it as soon as they arrive. On that note, it is important to address a practical point. The weather. In summer, the heat can be overwhelming, with very high temperatures that make daytime walks exhausting, especially in coastal cities where shade is limited. That is why, in my opinion, spring is the best time to visit Cyprus. The weather is still warm, but much more pleasant and suitable for exploring. If this kind of more realistic travel content interests you, subscribe now. In upcoming videos, I will present other destinations where the contrast between what you see online and reality is even more striking. Another interesting aspect is the transformation of cities like Limassol. In recent years, this city has changed significantly. Today, Cyprus attracts people from many countries. The Russian community is highly visible, particularly following recent geopolitical events that have led many families to settle here. There's also a significant Indian community, as well as people from various African countries. This mix of cultures has transformed certain neighborhoods into highly international spaces. Where the diversity of languages and lifestyles is clearly visible in the streets. This diversity is also reflected in urban development. In some neighborhoods, you will find modern buildings, offices, and newly constructed residences designed for expatriates, while in others, a more traditional and local way of life is preserved. Limassol is probably the best example of this duality. As for the cost of living, Cyprus may surprise more than one visitor. In some respects, Prices are comparable to those in northern European cities, such as Amsterdam. For example, a meal in an average restaurant can cost between €15 and €25 per person, depending on the area. A coffee typically costs between €3 and €5. Renting a standard car can range from €30 to €60 per day in mid-season and increases significantly in summer. In terms of accommodation, a tourist apartment in popular areas can easily exceed €80 or €120 per night during the high season. This somewhat challenges the idea that the entire island is inexpensive. Here, too, the difference between local and tourist areas is striking. Just a few kilometers are enough for both the price level and the overall experience to change completely. In coastal cities such as Aia Napa or parts of Paphos, tourism is everywhere. Hotels, restaurants, and entertainment venues are concentrated in lively centers during the summer. But outside of these areas, the pace changes considerably and becomes much calmer, with a more authentic daily life that is less focused on tourists. Another notable point is a general sense of safety. The atmosphere is relaxed, even at night. It is common to see people leaving their belongings in public spaces without much concern, which contributes to the overall comfort of the trip at this point in the journey. If you enjoy this kind of authentic content about different countries, now is the perfect time to subscribe, as the next destination will reveal an even stronger contrast between expectations and reality. It is important to emphasize that each city in Cyprus has its own personality. Limassol is more modern and international. Paphos combines tourism, history, and archaeological sites. As for the inland regions, they preserve a much more local way of life, with fewer external influences. This diversity means that the island cannot be summed up in a single experience. To conclude this stage of the journey, if you want to discover lesser-known countries or destinations where reality differs from what is commonly presented, I recommend watching the next videos on the channel. There are places where cultural and economic contrasts are even more extreme. The journey continues.